So if I go into the report library, so there's a tab specific to employee data. You can pull out all the different information on the employee profile information, organizational relationship, direct report, secretary, process settings. Are they an evaluatee, evaluator, etc.? This comes in helpful when they're getting ready to build out a process, because then they can see if the settings are all correct. Because a lot of times they'll build out the process and they don't realize it, and they're missing people. People aren't pulled in, people aren't tied together, and that's because the settings aren't enabled. And then this one just pulls both of them in, the relationships and the settings. Then you have reports specific to the goals and development plans. You have your summaries that you can run. So this is where you go to run all the evaluation summaries if you want to get that evaluation data out of the system, some information on the different processes. Then you have specific reports for surveys, and then you also have the ability to have custom reports made. If you need data pulled out of the system in a certain way, or certain data that's not in one of our standard reports, can reach out to us. We can then build out custom reports. I'm going to go to the process summary tab here so you can see all the different reports. And if you remember when we were building out the report process on the manager sign off and the employee sign off, we had that drop down menu that we could pick all the reports from. These are all the reports here. And additionally, if you create custom reports, if you have custom reports created, those also can be pulled into the process on the sign-off stages as well. So you can have custom reports assigned. But these are all the reports that you would be able to pick from to pull out the evaluation information. So you can see, and it gives you a nice little detail of each report. Since if I wanted to run the performance review summary, pulling in the self-evaluation as well, with no scores and percentages, because I don't have that information. My form isn't scored. I can click into this report. It's going to give me a screen where I can pick criteria to narrow down the information that I pull into my report. And it's basically a top-down filter. And you will notice that the first option, process name, is required. So you have to pull in the process name, but then the rest are optional. So if I click on here, I can pick any of my processes that I want, and I can pick multiple processes. So if the firm does monthly reviews, they can pull all those monthly reviews into one report and get a yearly report based on it. But then you can see here, I can pull in the people. What employee do I want to report on? I can pick one, I can pick two, however I want. I can pull in specific evaluators' names. I can pick certain statuses if I want. This particular one is nice, question name. You can actually, from this report, if you say have an overall rating question, and basically that's all you're concerned about, you can basically run this report and only have the system pull in that one question into the report if you want. You can also narrow the report down by certain departments, certain positions, etc. But I'll just grab this for now, and then I'll click submit. And then you can see how the system is generating the report right on the screen. And now you can see it's going to load it. So here's Alyssa's report. You can see some header information here. Then you can see for each question how the people answered. And because nobody answered, it's all blank. And now this is her self-eval, because you can see that's the self-eval because I pulled that in. So you can see that. And here's Cruz. And you can see Adela answered. And then if Cruz answered, you can see how Cruz answered his self-eval. And then from here, they have the ability to export. And there's two options here, PDF and Excel. Only certain reports can export to Excel. The summary reports can export to Excel because of the way the information is displayed. So those you would be able to export to a PDF. And from the PDF, you can save it, you can email it to anybody, you can print it, hand it to somebody. So you have that ability as well. And this is where the sign-off comes into play. So instead of the admin coming in here, printing out all these reports and emailing them to the department heads or the managers, that manager sign-off takes that place because the admin doesn't have to come into the report library, print out the report. The system automatically sends it to that particular person. And what's nice about this is when you export to a PDF, the system automatically pulls in the page break. So you can see here's the self-eval with the page break. And now here's Cruz. So here's his evaluation. And then I can go back and then you can change it however needed. Another nice thing you can do with these reports is you can save your criteria. So if there's a report you run over and over again, you can then save it using this information here. So I can click Save Criteria. I can title it whatever I want. So I can say 2022 Associate Review. Now, you'll notice there's a little toggle here for private. If this is enabled, this filter criteria will only be available to the administrator who created it. If this is a report that they're the only ones using, they can keep it private. If this report is good for every admin, that all admins across the firm can use, then they can disable this and save it. And now when any admin comes into the application, comes to here, what they can do is if they click select criteria, that criteria is listed here. And they'd be able to click on it and it would load all the filters there for them. Now you'll notice there's a little pencil icon here. This would only be available to the admin who actually created the criteria. So if it's another admin accessing it, they wouldn't be able to edit or delete it, but they would be able to access it. So if I click on this, you can see how it populates everything right away. So that's helpful just in case there's a report that you run numerous times and you don't want to keep having to pick all the different filters that you need. And then if I wanted to take a look at by answer choice, just so you can see the difference between the two of them, and I'll pick the process again, and I'm just going to pick cruise. And now you can see how it displays by answer choice. So it just lists out the evaluator's name under the answer choice, as opposed to before where it said Adela's name and it's what answer choice she picked. So you'd have all your evaluators listed under the specific answer choice. And you can see here where it says it doesn't report to Excel. So you can quickly tell which reports report to Excel and which don't. And then if I go to process tracking, just so you can see, you have a lot of information to track the processes with. You can do evaluation listing by evaluate team, by evaluator. You can do process status tracking, workflow stage. You can do solicitations tracking, and then you can also do task status tracking. And this basically is the same as this. It's just two different ways you can access it. This is also exportable to Excel if you need to. So there's a lot of different ways to pull the data out of the system as needed.